Dad stood up at my sister's engagement party, raised his glass, and said, "Here's to Emily, proof that at least one of my daughters has a future." Everyone laughed. I was standing right there. He didn't even look at me. That was the moment I decided to stop waiting for his approval. But what he didn't know was that I'd already started building something he couldn't take away. My name's Rebecca. I'm 26 years old, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the disappointment. I work as a freelance graphic designer, which, in my dad's eyes, isn't a real career. It's just something I do between figuring out what I'm actually going to do with my life. My sister Emily? She's the one he brags about. Law school graduate, corporate job, steady paycheck. Everything Dad ever wanted in a daughter. Me? I loved art. I loved creativity. I loved telling stories through color and design. Dad called it a hobby, not a life plan. Growing up, I heard it over and over. "That's nice, Rebecca, but what are you really going to do?" Like the thing I loved most didn't count. I wasn't the daughter he showed off at family dinners. I wasn't the one he mentioned when his friends asked how his kids were doing. But I had something he never believed in: vision. For the last 2 years, I'd been quietly building a small design business, late nights at my laptop, teaching myself branding, marketing, client management, slowly landing projects, slowly proving to myself that I could do this. I just wished he'd believed it too. If you've ever been dismissed by someone who should have believed in you, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I read every single one. Because what happened next? It changed everything. I didn't need his permission. I just needed him to stay out of my way. A few weeks after the engagement party, we had our usual Sunday dinner. Mom made pot roast. My brother sat in the corner scrolling his phone. Emily and her fiancé were talking about wedding venues. I was quiet, still stinging from that toast. But halfway through dinner, I thought maybe I could try again. Maybe if I just explained what I was working on, he'd understand. "I'm working on a big project right now," I said. "A rebrand for a local startup. They found me through my portfolio site." Dad didn't even look up from his plate. "Rebecca, when are you going to get serious?" he said. "You can't live off logos forever." Emily jumped in. Her voice was sweet. Too sweet. "Maybe you should apply somewhere stable. I can get you an admin job at my firm if you want." An admin job. I felt my stomach twist. "I'm actually landing clients," I said. "I'm growing my portfolio. This is real work." Dad laughed. Not mean, worse, dismissive. "Sweetheart, I've seen this before. You're dreaming. That's fine when you're 22. But you're 26 now." I opened my mouth to say something. Anything. But he'd already turned to Emily. "So tell me about this promotion," he said. "When do you start the new role?" And just like that, I didn't exist. Mom stayed silent. My brother didn't look up. I sat there for another 10 minutes, then excused myself. No one noticed when I left. On the drive home, my phone buzzed. An email. Subject line: "Interested in discussing a 6-month contract." I pulled over, read it twice. A local business wanted to hire me. Long-term. Real money. I stared at the screen. Something shifted inside me. I didn't reply that night, but I saved the email, and I made a decision. I was done trying to earn his respect. A month later, Emily's engagement celebration got bigger. Dad threw a backyard party. Lights strung across the fence. Catered food. The whole family came. I showed up early and helped set up. Carried chairs. Arranged the dessert table. Spent 3 hours baking brownies and cupcakes, because Emily mentioned she wanted something homemade. When it was time for toasts, Dad stood up with his glass. "I want to thank everyone who contributed to making this day special," he said. "Emily's fiancé for being part of this family. My wife, for putting this together. Even our neighbor Tom, for lending us his speaker system. He went down the list. Never said my name. I waited. Nothing. Finally, I spoke up. Quiet, trying not to make it awkward. I made the entire dessert table. Dad glanced over. Oh, right. Thanks, hon. Then he turned back to the crowd and kept talking. Emily didn't say a word. I felt invisible. 2 weeks later, we went to my cousin's birthday dinner. The whole extended family was there. My uncle asked me what I'd been up to. I just signed my first long-term client, I said. It's a 6-month contract. I'm really excited about it. Before my uncle could respond, Dad cut in. Loud enough for the whole table to hear. She's doing some artsy freelance thing. We're hoping she grows out of it. My cousin laughed. Awkward. Uncomfortable. My aunt changed the subject. I felt my face burn. I excused myself. Went to the bathroom. Sat in the stall for 10 minutes just breathing. I couldn't believe he said that. In front of everyone. Like I was a kid going through a phase. But the worst part? It kept happening. A few weeks later, Dad called me. Hey, I need a favor, he said. Can you design a flyer for my company? Something simple. You're good at that stuff. I thought maybe this was it. A peace offering. A chance for him to finally see what I could do. Sure, I said. I spent hours on it. Sent him 3 different concepts. Clean layouts, professional. Exactly what his contracting business needed. He picked one, said, looks good in a text. That was it. A week later, I drove past one of his job sites. My design was printed on a banner. Huge. Hanging on the fence. He'd used it. No credit. No thank you. When I asked him if he liked it, he said, yeah, it's fine. I didn't think you'd charge me for it, though. Your family. I didn't charge him, but he assumed I would have. And even then, he didn't think my work was worth anything. That's when I stopped trying. I stopped showing up early. Stopped explaining myself. Stopped hoping he'd finally get it. Instead, I worked. Late nights. New proposals. I expanded my client base. Reached out to businesses I'd never had the confidence to contact before. And what none of them knew was that I'd been building something real. Over the last 8 months, I'd signed 4 steady clients. Built a full portfolio website. Started getting inquiries from out of state. One of those clients recommended me to a regional nonprofit. They were looking for a rebrand. Something bold. Something that represented their mission. I submitted a pitch. Didn't tell anyone. A week later, I got the call. They wanted me. It was a $25,000 contract. The biggest project I'd ever landed. I sat in my car after that call and just stared at my phone. I didn't post about it. Didn't tell my family. Not yet. I wanted to be sure. I wanted to show up with something they couldn't dismiss. Couldn't laugh off. Couldn't take credit for. I also started saving screenshots. Every dismissive text. Every joke in the family group chat. Every time I was skipped over. Not to be petty, but to remind myself why I was doing this. My best friend Jordan helped me through all of it. Jordan works in PR. They've been in my corner since day one, helped me refine pitches, reviewed contracts, hyped me up when I wanted to quit. One night, over coffee, Jordan looked at me and said, "You don't owe them a debut. But when you're ready, let them see exactly who you are." I nodded. I was getting ready. Meanwhile, the family group chat got worse. Dad started making jokes. Rebecca's gonna be the starving artist at Thanksgiving. Better save her a plate. Emily sent a passive-aggressive text. Mom's worried about you. Have you thought about getting benefits? Health insurance? I didn't respond. I was too busy finishing the rebrand, prepping presentations, doing the work. Then the nonprofit project went live. Local news picked it up, a small feature on community partnerships. My name was credited. A family friend saw it, sent the article to the group chat. "Isn't this Rebecca?" Dad reacted with a thumbs up emoji. No words. Emily didn't respond at all. 2 days later, Mom called. "Your father saw that article," she said. "He didn't say much, but maybe you could come to dinner this Sunday? It'd be nice." I agreed, not because I forgave them, because I was ready. Sunday came. I walked into the house. Emily and her fiancé were already there. Dad was talking about some new contract he'd landed. Mom was setting the table. We sat down, passed dishes, made small talk. Then Dad turned to me, patronizing, but trying. "So, I saw you got your name in the paper. That's nice. Good for you." I stayed calm, smiled. "Thanks. It's actually a 6-month contract, $25,000, and they want to extend it into next year." The table went quiet. Dad cleared his throat. "Well, don't spend it all at once. Freelance work dries up fast." Emily forced a smile. "That's great, Beck. Really." I pulled out my phone, opened my portfolio site, scrolled through client testimonials, 5-star reviews, projects from across 3 states. Then I showed them my inbox. 3 new inquiries that week. I turned the phone toward Dad. Then I played the news segment. The nonprofit director's voice filled the room. "Rebecca brought our vision to life. We couldn't have done this without her." Dad shifted in his seat. "I mean, I always knew you were talented. I cut him off. Calm. Firm. "No, Dad. You didn't. You told me I'd never make it. You laughed when I said I wanted to do this full time." Emily tried to smooth it over. "Come on. He was just being realistic." I turned to her. "You offered me an admin job. At your firm. Because you didn't think I was capable of anything more." Mom looked down at her plate. Dad leaned forward. "I was trying to protect you." "No," I said. "You were trying to make me small, because it was easier than believing I could do something you didn't understand." I stood up. "I don't need your approval anymore. I just wanted you to see that I did this without it." I grabbed my bag. No one followed me. On my way out, Mom touched my arm. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. I nodded, didn't smile. "I wish you'd said that sooner." I drove home. No tears, just quiet clarity. I used to think I needed him to see me, to finally say I was enough. But the truth is, I'd already become enough. He just wasn't paying attention. Over the next few weeks, Dad sent a short text. "Proud of you." I didn't reply right away. Eventually, I sent back, "Thanks." No long conversation, no apology from him. And I was okay with that. Emily called, tried to act like nothing happened. I kept it surface level, polite, distant. I focused on my work, landed 2 more clients. Jordan threw me a mini celebration. "You did it," they said. And I realized something. I didn't need the family group chat validation, didn't need the Sunday dinner spotlight, didn't need the toast at the party. I'd built something real, something mine. For the first time, their silence didn't hurt me. It freed me. If you've ever had to prove yourself to someone who should have believed in you from the start, I want to hear your story. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I read everyone. And if this story hit home, hit that subscribe button. You're not alone in this. Sometimes the biggest win isn't changing their mind, it's realizing you don't need to.